Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Supergirl Season 6 review series. And today I am going to be talking about episode 5, Prom Night, which I have just finished watching. And this episode was really good. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. One of the best episodes of Season 6 so far. And some of the better episodes of the show was the ones where we see Kara as a kid, when they go back to the past. I thought they were some of the better episodes of the show, and this one was no exception. And one thing that was missing from this episode, which I think would have made it even better, and at the same time would have made a whole lot of sense, is if Nia and Brainy would have asked some of the Legends for help. This episode was sorely missing Legends of Tomorrow members, and because they were doing the whole time traveling thing, it just would have been nice to have had a couple of Legends helping out. But this was still a great episode, and as I said, one of the best ones of season 6 so far. And this also, I believe, marks the first time in the show's run that we didn't have Melissa Benoist appear at all. No Supergirl whatsoever. And anytime when you have an episode where you don't have your lead in the show, sometimes that can hurt it, but these guys didn't miss a beat. It shows you how strong and confident they are to not have Melissa Benoist appear in an episode, because these guys did a great job without her, so it didn't hurt the story at all. In fact, it just made it even better. So mega props to the cast for carrying the show and the load without Melissa Benoist appearing in this episode. So I'm going to give a quick recap of what's happened so far, and then we're going to get straight into it. So, as we remember at the end of the last episode, Nia and Brainy and everybody else have been working around the clock to try and get Supergirl out of the Phantom Zone. And they all came to the conclusion that in order to get her out, they need to get more of Kara's DNA. And Nia came to the conclusion that all of the dreams that she's been experiencing trace back to Midvale High in 2009. And in order to get more of Kara's DNA, they need to go back to the past to that point. So that was a great way to leave episode 4 and a cool setup for episode 5. And as I said, this episode, Prom Night, on paper, the name sounded a bit corny, but once I watched it and just finished watching it as well, it was absolutely brilliant. Sometimes names can throw you off, but if you've got a good story to back it up, you can call it Buttermilk for all I care. And if the story's there and you care about it and you're invested, it's all good as far as I'm concerned. So with that all said, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about episode 5, Prom Night. So we open this episode up with Brainy and Nia figuring out the specific location of Kara's DNA in 2009. The DNA that they need to save Kara from the Phantom Zone. We see a newspaper clipping also notes that Midvale is the luckiest town in America, and it's revealed that in this timeline, due to the events of Crisis, Kara's boyfriend Kenny was never killed, and Jean suggests he should go back with Nia and Brainy due to unexpected differences. But Brainy says that it's too risky and the timeline could be altered. Sensible enough. So Nia realises going back to 2009 puts her in a timeline where her mother was still alive, while Brainy is a little bit nervous about getting the time travel right. So then we fast forward to Midvale High in 2009, and we see Alex and Kara catch up, and Kara is stalling on telling Kenny that she's planning to go to National City for college instead of the school she planned to go with Kenny. She overhears Brainy's ship crash on the baseball field, and Alex drives them there. As they leave, they pass a young Cat Grant who is there to do a story on Midvale High. Now, I remember they announced that they were going to feature a young Cat Grant, and I was very, very interested to see how they were going to do that. And I've got to say, it was absolutely hilarious. I thought, seeing a young Cat Grant was just amazing. I thought seeing how the young version of herself was just absolutely hilarious, and As soon as I saw her arrive on the scene, I just thought, oh my gosh, that's actually Cat Grant as a young reporter. I just couldn't stop laughing, and at times it really felt like you were seeing Callista Flockhart, but a junior version of her. It was just absolutely hilarious, I think. And I thought Eliza Helm did an excellent job in portraying all of the classic Cat Grant mannerisms that Callista Flockhart has, you know, made her mark on in the earlier episodes of Supergirl. And as I said, it was like watching a junior version of her. You know, I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. So as we see, Nia and Brainy have arrived in Midvale a day early, and they are found by Kenny, Kara, and Alex. They quickly claim that they are psychic aliens from the planet Psychon and do a bad job of covering themselves. They were supposed to avoid making contact with Alex and Kara. Kara wants to help the aliens, but Alex thinks it is a problem. Kara ends up introducing herself to Brainy, calling himself Brandon, and Nia, who's calling herself Brenda, and offers to help them. With the authorities coming, Kara starts to hide the ship, but Nia and Brainy quickly take over, concealing it under the baseball field. Kenny takes Brainy home with him. Nia goes home with the Danvers girls. At Kenny's place, Brainy freaks out a bit when he realises that he doesn't have access to a 3D printer, but Kenny has a solid solution that requires them to go to the school. At Kara's place, Nia and Kara bond a bit, but Nia struggles with missing her mother, who she knows is alive and well in 2009. Later, Nia has a dream involving a caged purple wildcat who escapes that is somehow connected to Midvale High. At school, Kenny and Brainy talk while he works on the 3D printer. Kenny says he's built a base for himself and Kara. Kenny goes to class and tells Brainy not to leave the lab, but it takes a long time to print and he runs out of snacks, so he sneaks out to go to the snack machine where he's spotted by the Glee club instructor and taken off to class. Kenny later finds him on the baseball diamond field as Brainy has been recruited by pretty much everyone for the game. Oh, God. Kat goes around Midvale convinced that there is a super being behind all of these things in Midvale, so she goes looking for her story. She encounters Alex with her mother's badge to interview, identifying herself as CJ Grant. Corny name. Alex tells her that nothing in Midvale is worth finding. Nia and Kara find the minimal that they need. On the way home, the girls are almost taken out by a gas truck with no driver. We also see earlier in the episode, it's revealed that a pair of aliens decide to head to Earth to capture a Kryptonian, specifically Kara. It turns out that the aliens are behind the runaway truck trying to lure out a Kryptonian. Kara and Nia get into the truck and manage to stop it, causing the aliens to miss their shot. The aliens are now aware that there is a Nortorian and a Kaluan as well, but they depart without taking anyone. Kat, however, is nearby and sees that something weird has happened, although she doesn't actually catch them in the act. Nia struggles to make sense of her dream, and alone on the ship, Nia calls her mother but gets her voicemail. Brainy figures out who the aliens are and why they're after them, which help Nia interpret her dream better, but they're horrified to discover that their actions have now changed the timeline, and that the alien Naxium is on the loose. At the Danvers home, Alex and Kara argue over telling their mother, and Alex reveals that the family has sacrificed everything for Kara, including Alex's trip to Europe. Kara then goes off to finally tell Kenny that she's planning to go to National City, but he shows her the hero base he's made her. Brainy is freaking out about the timeline change and finding out that Nia called her mum and can't cope. He gets Nia to share her coping mechanism, which is singing Dolly Parton's 9 till 5 song. The computer locates Naxium and they find the ship that Naxium is waiting for them and captures them both. And that pretty much leaves episode 5 on a cliffhanger and sets up for episode 6. Overall, great episode. Really enjoyed this one a lot. And as I said, some of the best episodes of the show are the ones where Kara is a kid and we see them in flashback. So I really enjoyed this episode a lot, and I'm really looking to see what happens in episode 6, which is where this episode left off. But overall, this is one of the best ones of season 6 so far, and we are still counting down to the end, as we all know, because this is the final season for Supergirl. But it's been a hell of a ride so far, and I'm really looking forward to the next episode. that's it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 5 of Supergirl? Did you enjoy it? What were your thoughts on the whole concept of going back to 2009 in Midvale? Did you enjoy that aspect? And also, what about seeing young Kara? Do you think some of the better episodes of the show are the ones with Kara as a kid and we go back to the past? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Supergirl Season 6 review series, where I'll be talking about Episode 6, which I am very much looking forward to talking about, and I'm really interested to see how this is all going to end. So until next time, take care everybody, and stay safe, and once again, thanks for listening.